Welcome to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. Are you a goofball that loves Giants football? If so, sit back and relax as we talk about the team that both excites and frustrates us so much. And now, here are your goofball hosts, Drew and Rob.
Welcome, fellow goofballs, to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. I am Drew, joined as always by...
I'm me, I'm Rob. Let's get the show on the road today.
Is it a mobile show?
Yeah, we're in the back of the van. Yeah, yay, let's go.
Wait, how did we get the back of the van? There wasn't like any kind of like candy involved or anything, was there?
I'll be by your place in no time with some candy, luring you out in no time. Hey now.
Cherry flavored condoms don't work. I told you this.
Crap. All right. I'll be 2 minutes late.
So today, guys, we're going to give you guys the rundown on all of the big news here at the NFC East, because let's be honest here, if it wasn't for 2 of the 3 teams on the NFC East, we probably would have a lot better of a record the last couple of years here. So let's be frank about it here. The NFC East has been a tough thing for us there. It seems to be, for whatever reason, whenever we face, our bigger rivals of the 2 of the 3 teams there that we face twice a year here, our record be a whole lot better. So we're going to go over for you guys, not just our moves here and recap that. We're going to go over all the Cowboys moves, the Eagles moves, the Commanders moves, which, trust me, there's a lot of Commanders moves. The Commanders have been basically the most busy team in all of free agency, because they have literally the most cap space, I think, in all of the NFL. Probably still, even after all the moves they've made. It's like they had an empty roster. They just got to fill it up somehow, basically. It's insanity. So before we begin that, though, we have some breaking news for you guys. Oh, yes, breaking news. So we're a couple minutes late to start today, and yes, Rob is a couple minutes late as usual. But
Yeah,
Kapunk.
Just put it in reverse, because it wasn't like we're just finding out breaking news.
But as he's signing in, of course, his lateness actually was a good thing for us, because the Giants just made a signing here. So as we start off here with the signings of all the New York Giants here and all the changes, we just signed a player. Now, how big a deal it is? It's not that big a deal. I'm not trying to overplay it and make it seem like, oh my God, breaking news, break out the NFC East Championship here. But we've just signed tight end Jack Stoll from the Eagles there. We stole. Oh, yes, I went there.
Double past tense.
1 year deal. Stoll was 26 years old, had a 52.1 PFF grade last year. So, again, not going to be the, oh my God, this is the difference maker kind of guy at that point. But what he is, he's a really solid blocking tight end, which is what we've been looking for. The rumors have been out there. We talked about the Giants looking at the another similar type of player from the Broncos there as well last episode. So Jack Stoll, 6'4", 275 pounds. Last year, 17 games, 8 starts. Just 5 receptions for 38 yards the whole entire season. Played in 38% of the offensive snaps. Played also 45% of the special team snaps as well. So definitely a guy that you can look at and go, okay, this is a guy who's going to come in for blocking, for rundowns. He's going to be a guy who comes in and, spend some time on special teams, which is an important part of that. If you're going to be the bottom of the barrel roster guy, which is what a position like this is, let's be very frank, you better play some special teams. And you better play it well. Because that's part of your role. It's part of what's expected of you at that point. So, like I said, not an amazing, oh my God, stop the presses. We won the Super Bowl because of this guy kind of thing, but not a bad pickup. The guy's been, like I said, 3 years, back to back with the Eagles there. Had a 123 receiving yards the year before.
Ooh.
Ooh, it's about 8 catch a game.
In that ballpark, maybe.
Yeah. And, he was their number 2 tight end. He was their blocking tight end. He just, again, was a guy that you never saw catch the ball. He's kind of like their Howard Cross, if you will, at that point. I'll go that kind of reference there. Like I said, solid blocking tight end, though, and that's something we need, especially with the offensive line we have there. Comes out of University of Nebraska. When he went to school, I can tell you the best thing about him, spectacular mullet. I can see I'm looking at the pictures right now. So this is all breaking just now. Like absolutely like business in the front, party in the back. Like this guy was ready for a kegger.
Listen, he showed up to practice. He knew what was going on. He was ready to go. All business.
Exactly. That
Friday
mullet,
night,
you can tell.
Cake stands. Oh my God, it was drenching in beer.
That mullet, he probably fit right in Nebraska. Breaking news: we just lost all our Nebraska listenership. It's okay. It's Nebraska. No one lives there.
Corn lives there.
Corn. Jonathan Davis and
no, I was about to say the C corn, not the K corn.
Okay. Not the musical band there. It's the good band back in the day.
Good old late 90s,
late 90s. That was like mid 90s. It started off. I want to say the first album with Blind and Clown and all that kind of stuff was like 95. I think. I don't know. Look at it. You're gonna make me look things up again. Korn first album.
It was like 96, right? Or maybe
94. 94 was the first album.
Yeah, but Freaking Unleashed.
Freaking Unleashed was 97.
Like 98.
Yeah.
98, 99.
Yeah, but they were good before that.
They were.
They were very good before that. And
I think it's the Family Values tour. 98 was the one that was like really.
Yeah, that's when they really hit it big. Anyway, as we get on this rant about Korn. Yes.
New metal.
Oh yes. But yeah. Let's go over here all of the latest news though. Like I said, we got the new one here, Jack Stoll, tight end. Otherwise, here we're gonna run down quick the additions to the Giants. Again, we've already gone over these in the last 2 episodes. So if you guys are curious more on our thoughts on these players, go ahead and like I said, we'll go ahead and listen to those episodes here. Traded for D-end edge Brian Burns, 5 years, 150 max, about 142 is the real numbers there, but it was reporting it as 150 after the trade from the Panthers there. Signed guard Jon Runyan, 3 years, $30 million from the Packers. Signed QB Drew Lock from the Seahawks, 1 year, $5 million. Signed Devin Singletary from the Texans, longtime former Bill there. Signed tackle / guard / basically plays anywhere on the line, Jermaine Illuminor, 2 years, $14 million, and signed wide receiver Isaiah McKenzie to a 1-year deal. Tendered Nick McLeod, so he's staying on the team there. Lost Saquon Barkley to the Eagles, and obviously when we talk about the Eagles, we'll get more into that. Xavier McKinney to the Packers. Tyrod Taylor to the Jets there, and defensive lineman Ashawn Robinson to the Panthers. So, I mean, overall, interesting offseason so far for the Giants. And, obviously we lost our 2 biggest players, but the big thing is you look at what is going on here with, the Giants, and Joe Shane is sending a clear message. I'm building the trenches. Screw everything else.
100%. That's what I say.
That's what he's saying.
Everything he's done is about the line. And we talked about this last episode last night. That, build your foundations, build your house. Yeah. You have to build the frame to the house before you start building an actual house. So let's get the lines intact and let's start putting players around it. Yeah,
the bigger deals have been Burns, Runyan, and Illuminor. Everybody else is like $5-6 million or less a year. That's it. Like he's not spending money on talented players at the positions that you don't pay money to, like safety and running back. Hence why we lost McKinney and we lost Barkley there.
I mean, if anyone didn't see this coming, I mean, just look at what the Bills looked like 5.
Yeah, but you can't always go 100% based on
you
that.
Can't.
Because of the fact that he wasn't the GM, he was the assistant GM. You know what I mean? Like you could have
gone. You still learn under a guy. Yeah, that you're working next to. He's the assistant to the guy.
But how many times you worked with a guy and like that guy's making that mistake? I'm not going to do that when I get the chance.
Or there's a lot of times you go, oh, that makes a lot of sense.
Things that make
Maybe
you
do
go,
what he's doing. Yeah.
So, speaking of things that make you go, let's go over the Dallas Cowboys here because they have had a very interesting offseason. And
They
I mean,
won
interesting.
they won the meme contest of all the NFL memes.
The memes contest. What?
Yeah, no, you ever see the memes going around like Ghetto Gronk or all these things around Instagram?
No.
What has Dallas done this offseason? And it's just like Jerry Jones.
No, I haven't seen that.
Oh.
But they haven't done much. So far, they've signed long snapper Trent Sieg from the Raiders to a 1-year deal. They signed Eric Kendricks, which was kind of a steal because remember he was a longtime Viking, went to play for the Chargers last year, was originally planning on going to re-up with the Chargers, and at the last minute changed his mind after it was reported he was re-signing with the Chargers and went to the Cowboys instead. 32 years old. 72.3 PFF grade, so still got some solid, gas in the tank there, but not exactly a young whippersnapper at that point there. Re-signed
yesterday, right?
Yes. Yep. Re-signed cornerback Jordan Lewis, defensive tackle Carl Davis. They granted wide receiver Michael Gallup permission to seek a trade, so who knows what's going to happen with him long term. They lost Tony Pollard to the Titans. They lost defensive end Dorrance Armstrong to the Commanders. They lost Tyler Biotish, the center, to the Commanders. They lost Dante Fowler, the defensive end, to the Commanders. Damn, the Commanders hate them. And expected to be gone, but still an unsigned free agent, is their former left tackle Tyron Smith. And then retired is linebacker Leighton Vander Esch. Leighton is one of those guys who remember pretty much every single year got hurt in some way, shape, or form. It only played like 5 or 6 games a year, it seems like, but was a solid player when he was out there. He's kind of like their linebacker version of Sterling Shepard, basically. It's safe to say that he's with the team a long time. With the team forever. Was a good player. Just 28 years old now, guys. So he's definitely retiring a little bit young there. But injuries stack up, and eventually you go, my body can't keep taking this.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, he's 2 years older than the Korn's first album.
Womp.
Yeah, 2 years younger, I should say, actually. 2 years younger. But yeah, I mean, look, last year 5 games, year before 14 games, year before actually played a full season. Then 10 games, 9 games, then played a full season. So I mean, the guy's been in the league for 6 years and only twice played a full season. That's very telling as far as his abilities overall to stay healthy. Just doesn't have it. So get out if you're having those kind of issues, because your long-term health is more important than anything else, man. So as much as he's a Cowboy, we like to trash talk the Cowboys. Hopefully Leighton Vander Esch finds something else for the rest of his life, enjoys it, and has no long-standing issues from all the issues he's had as a player. But as far as the Cowboys in the whole, man, you got to look at this and go, what the hell?
Sit there.
I mean, Eric Kendricks, you can sit there and say, is
I was going to say, with
behind the microphone.
Yeah, sit behind the microphone.
Take our job.
Yeah,
we'll take our jobs. Leighton Vander Esch.
I think Vander Esch is definitely not going to be talking about the New York Giants. I think we're safe there.
You never know. You never know.
You might have been a fan. I don't know.
Our jobs are in demand. It's a rough economy. Anyway, if you look overall, Kendricks replaces Vander Esch basically, which is an upgrade. Let's be honest, because again, Vander Esch can't stay on the field. But then you look at the rest of it. You signed a long snapper, okay. No, I'm not going to diss that move. I'm just going to sit there and say it's not groundbreaking. You signed a couple backups. You're going to lose potentially your third receiver. You lost your starting running back. You lost, 2 of your edge rushers. You lost your starting center. You're going to probably lose your starting left tackle. I mean, that's 40% of your offensive line gone, too. Your main rusher's gone. That's not good.
No, and
unless you're a Giants fan.
guaranteed. If preseason comes around, everyone says Dallas goes to the Super Bowl, win the Super Bowl.
Yeah. But the other thing is, on top of that, is you look at like, you know, the team as a whole, and they lost, Dan Quinn, their defensive coordinator, is now the head coach over in DC with the Commanders, hence why they're losing all their players to DC. But it's like, how much does that affect the team overall as well? So you're losing a lot of pieces on offense, you're losing a lot of pieces on defense, and you just don't have anybody signed crazy to replace them. Now, I will say this. Besides last year, excuse me, I just took a nap before the show started. I really did too. It's a sad thing. I've taken 2 naps today. It's been a sleeping day.
Good for you.
That's a good 11-hour sleep on top of that today too. This is my first day off in 10 days, so therefore I was taking full advantage. But anyway, when you lose all these players, most teams go crazy and try to pick up new players. But if you look at what the Cowboys have done over the last couple of years, minus last year when they obviously got Gilmore and Cooks in a trade and added something in the offseason that way, for the most part, they've been a team that drafts their players. They have, for the most part, built up the right way. They're not a team that goes crazy in the offseason and signs a bunch of players. Now, this is a lot of players to lose in one offseason. So you got to wonder how much of this is going to affect them in this year. And like I said, especially losing Dan Quinn, because let's be honest, as good as the offense is as far as, getting all the hype with guys like Dak and just about it now, Dak and CeeDee Lamb, what's left at this point of the offense. You look at the guys.
Who's their tight end now? Ferguson?
Yeah, Ferguson. They still got, I think Brandon Cooks I think he's got one more year in the deal. He has
should have 1 year. He was just picked up last year, so yeah.
So there's still definitely some good players on the team. I'm not trying to say that they got nothing.
So you're saying with the less offensive line, Dak will pick up his interception to the touchdown ratio.
And you got to sit there and say, like, you lost your long term. I mean, long term. I mean, he goes back to the Tony Romo days when it was Smith there. Now you lose Tyler Biadasz, who's been basically their starting center since day one. 4 years ago when he got drafted. They're really hurting, guys. They're really hurting as far as what they've lost. Who's their running back, for example? You lose Pollard, who's a dude is I mean, that's a lot to lose in one season there. I did just look it up. Yeah, this is his last year. He got 2 more void deals on his, but Brandon Cooks' last year is this year as far as guaranteed, contract kind of season with them. But it's like, that's a lot to lose, guys. That's a lot to lose. And I look at this kind of stuff and go, is this the team that's going to take a step back? And the way it's constituted now, I mean, granted, there's still more free agency to go, but at this point, all the massive names are gone. I just don't know. I mean, it's crazy to look at this. I mean, who could you honestly sit there and look at and go, okay, well, this is the guy that's going to step up and take over? I don't know if they have that guy.
Yeah.
Especially on offense. You lose right now, Deuce Vaughn, guys, would be their top running back, who, let's be honest, the guy is like 5'2" and 120 pounds. And I still think the main reason they got drafted is because his dad worked for the Cowboys. It's not to say somebody else wouldn't have drafted him at some point, but the Cowboys specifically took him because of that, and a lot of their issues stem from money. I see Deb in the comments here, and I was about to talk about that, is the issue with Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott is talking and been talking to them for a while about getting a contract extension there. And they keep kicking the can down the road. We've talked about that, where he's got $59.5 million cap hit this year, guys. 59.5. Now here's the crazy
matter.
thing on top of that. He's got a 36.5 cap hit next year. It's a void year. It's not an actual year. Even if this is his last year he ever plays for them, he's got $36.5 million cap hit next year. We're not even playing for them. That's a little insane, guys. That is just a little insane.
Man, I need his agent.
What? Seriously, I mean, he's got more millions than playoff wins. That's for damn sure. It's like, and I just gotta wonder, like, are they legitimate trying to extend them? Because we talked about this in the, talking about Dak Prescott and everything in during the regular season. We said that last year might be the last year for him, because if you made him a post June 1st cut, they could have saved $34 million against the cap. But now at this point, all the good quarterbacks are gone, unless they become a surprise team that all of a sudden trades up. They're going to go up and tries to get a quarterback. I mean,
or they're going to go Jerry Jones route, and they'll probably get Justin Fields because he's about the only one left.
They got Trey Lance. Still.
Listen, hand in hand.
I'm just, like I said, I feel like, as much as I dislike Jerry Jones and the Cowboys, I feel like they've been a team that's, let's be honest here. Let's take our Giants cap off here a second and just be an NFL fan. Say they've had some success over the years. Maybe not playoff success, but they've had regular season success over the last decade or so.
Yes, and regular season. 12-5 again, regular season past 3 years.
Yeah, I mean, this is not a team that's consistently being the top 10 of the draft like us. Let's be very frank about it. And this is a team that you don't get that way unless you have a plan of action of some kind. So I don't know. Maybe we just don't know the plan yet. Maybe that's why this looks all confusing. Maybe there's something big that Jerry Jones is going to do here. But
Jerry Jones also came out and saying a few weeks back that they were going to go big in this offseason. They're going to go crazy this offseason with all the different moves they're going to make.
Yeah, they went crazy, all right. They went crazy.
They're not doing anything.
Yeah. I mean,
so it's like, how much, like, did he lose control of the team that we don't know about, or other people making moves?
I don't think it's that, but I think when you pay 23% of your cap to one player and you're kind of locked into negotiations to try to extend him, that's an issue. I mean, his cap number the last couple of years has been 17, 19, and 26 million. Now it was shot up to 59 million because they kept kicking that can down the road. It's an issue. Yeah. It's an issue. So, like I said, I'm just curious to see what happens with them by the end of this. Like, is there a plan that we're not seeing? Because as of right now, guys, that is a team that I am just looking at and going, wow. Like, how are the Cowboys this bad? Because you lost again 20%. You lost 40% of your line. You lose your starting running back. You lose 2 of your pass rushers. And all you did was upgrade at linebacker. Can't call that stellar of an offseason, guys.
Yeah.
So, hopefully this kind of crap continues. Be nice to see them fall a little bit there. Because the season, they haven't released the schedule yet, but I guarantee we'll have them week 1. That's the way we always do.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know why. God forbid we get an easy game week 1. It's always the Cowboys. Except for like this past season, the year before, we got the Titans week 1. That wasn't easy. That wasn't an easy one either.
Well, when they were the top in the AFC that year or whatever it was.
Yeah.
No one seen the AFC.
I remember Saquon's first year, we started off against the Jaguars. But like pretty much every other year besides that, I feel like we've played the Cowboys. So hopefully if this keeps up, we do play the Cowboys. Let's get into the Eagles. The Philadelphia Eagles there. They've been pretty busy this offseason. They've been, unlike the Cowboys, they have not been sitting on their hands doing nothing. They've been doing a lot. So signing wise, obviously, let's get the elephant out of the room. Yes, they signed Saquon Barkley to 3 years, $37.5 million. 70.2 PFF grade last year, 27 years old. Obviously, this is a Giants podcast. We don't have to talk too much on what kind of player Saquon is. We know what kind of player he is. But I did find that PFF grade kind of interesting because PFF takes into takes into account typically where you're at and where you're at. In other words, like if they see him not getting yards because of blocking, they'll take that into account and say, okay, he's been an effective runner based on where he first got contact with the defender or something like that. And that's a much lower PFF grade than I expected him to have. But
yeah, same.
But again, we all know the issue with him. Has trouble staying healthy. Has trouble after first contact. I think what's going to happen is, and we'll see if I'm right, if I get my crystal ball out here.
Ooh,
what's going to happen there? Is, my crystal balls. Ooh.
Yeah.
I mean ball. I meant ball.
Is it a goofball?
No. It's like a squeaky toy. Squeak, squeak. But if I had to guess what's going to happen, honestly, guys, he's gonna have a crazy good year next year, I think. And then I think after that, he'll go back to his old self at that point there with us, and go into start to lose a little bit more. Their offensive line's going to start slipping a little more too as well. I mean, obviously, we'll get to the what happened with their line, this year here, but. Lane Johnson also is not a young whippersnapper either. Eventually, he's going to start going down in quality as well. He's 33 years old. So, I think eventually he's going to be better in the beginning because of that line. But I think eventually he's going to be what he is, a guy who doesn't get off first hits very well. Depends on having a decent hole open up at that point to have big runs because he lost some of his speed. And like I said, he'll enjoy that the first year, but past that, I think by the second year, they're going to regret this contract. I really think that.
I think both parties are going to reject.
Unless he gets hurt. I mean, if he gets hurt, they'll regret it even quicker. Let's be honest.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm just saying, I was joking around before, is that, when he got signed, and, obviously we're upset that he went to become an Eagle, but
I'm still pissed this is where he went to. Should have gone to Houston. You want to go somewhere else, make your money, go somewhere else. Yeah. You don't go to the goddamn Eagles.
No, that's what I said. You got 29 other teams to go to. You go to 29 other teams. You're obviously not staying with us, so that's 31. You're not going to Cowboys, and you're not going to Eagles. Otherwise, you're going to be a hated member of Giants, if you will. But what I was saying is, you get down to 31, you get down to 30, your third and goal, and you're on the 2-yard line, 1-yard line. Who typically gets the ball to go past the line of scrimmage?
Jalen Hurts now?
Yeah, with the tush push. Who always got it as a Giant? And
Daniel Jones?
Not always. But Barkley would get it.
That's not Saquon's forte.
It's not, but they've used him there, and he's gotten big, runs out of it.
Yeah.
He's also got just the 1 yard that they needed.
Yeah.
But, I mean.
Did you watch any of his introductory press conference today, by the way?
I did not.
So.
I was in Philadelphia today, by the way.
He actually said, he blamed himself for how he handled the whole situation and everything as far as how he left. But it's like, anyway, he made it clear that he wanted to thank all the Giants fans and everything. But it's like the second he became an Eagle, it's not that I don't think it's the fans flipped a switch. I felt like he flipped a switch. It was like, well, screw it, I'm gone. What do I care? There was no like Kirk Cousins when he left to the Falcons. He did this nice video thing and everything, thanking all the fans, thanking the cities, the Twin Cities. Obviously Minneapolis has Minneapolis, St. Paul right there. Thanked all the people in the organization. Like he went through and did a legit, here's a thank you video for a couple minutes of just going through the list and thanking people. Saquon instead just posted a video of him turning into an Eagles jersey at that point in the sidelines on Instagram, and put the Eagles logo a couple times on Twitter. That's all he did. There was no, thank you for 6 years of rooting for this guy. There was no thank you to the fans, thank you to the organization.
Buying my jerseys for the past 6 years. Yeah.
Nothing. And listen, I know it didn't end well with the Giants organization. Let's be honest. They didn't even give him a contract offer. So I get there's probably a little bit of sour grapes there. But in the end, they paid him for 6 years. And he's made more money than I think just 2 running backs in the history of the NFL already, because of the kind of money they've given him. Because again, he was a second overall pick, so he's made a lot of money already. This is not, and that's the way I think where part of the Giants fans got upset, because he's like, oh well, the Giants never offered me big money. We offered you money last year, dude. You turned it down.
Yeah,
let's not BS it, because he got offered a ton of money, he turned it down, and if he had just taken that money, you know what would have happened? We would have probably franchise tagged Daniel Jones.
And
it wouldn't be in the mess we're in right now with him.
And
because we wouldn't have kept Daniel Jones. We probably would have.
Yeah, and let's also talk about, like, hey, you're like what, the third highest paid running back paid in history. Like, let's also talk about, like, how much money have you made off endorsements so far?
Yeah,
because it wasn't like he came out as a rookie and didn't get endorsements.
Yeah,
when you're second overall in the New York market and you come out as a stud, you're making money right at the gates. You're on.
Yep.
I know these young people out there that's going to be on TikTok, but there's a thing called AM radio where sports guys go all the time to advertise for local car, salesmen or whatever. He's on that. He was selling that stuff. Like, he was going to make a commercial. Yeah, I'm just saying there. Sometimes I listen to AM radio.
Yeah,
I'm becoming a boomer.
It's on FM too, by the way. The Fan and ESPN radio. It's on the FM. You don't have to go to the AM. I'm just saying. But yeah, it's like I said. I don't like the way it all went down. I really don't, and I think he'll regret this deal when it all boils down to it in the end. And I think the Eagles will, just from a monetary standpoint, by the issues he's going to have, because eventually they're going to see the real Saquon. The guy who gets hurt, the guy who has trouble getting moves past first contact. And when that happens, they're going to have to deal with the repercussions of that contract. So, all right, let's talk about the rest of the guys we got here. So, Edge, Bryce Huff.
Sorry, this is my last thing. I don't think that Saquon's going to not be happy with this deal. I think he's going to be happy with this legacy going down the road, because he's going to make the money with the Eagles, and then down the road he's not going to be, the Hall of Famer Giant, the future down the road guy comes back, because he ruined all that by going to the Eagles. But all right,
100%.
Just want to put that out there.
100%.
Just want to put that out there.
So Eagles also signed Edge Bryce Huff from the Jets, 3 years, $51.5 million, 79.7 PFF grade, just 25 years old, coming off a 10-sack season, but also coming off his first season that he had that kind of production ever. So there's a lot of people also speculating that was a way overpay, which I would definitely agree on. Giants were actually in contact with Huff's people, by the way. I have seen that confirmed. So we were actually looking at Huff, but the price just got too high for what we wanted to pay. And that's saying a lot considering how much we paid Brian Burns.
Yeah.
It wasn't like the Giants were afraid of signing people to high money. They just didn't think he was worth it. Safety C.J. Gardner-Johnson, last year, of course, was with the Lions, was with the Eagles before that. 3 years, $33 million, 72.7 PFF grade last year, 26 years old. And what's interesting is, remember, on his way out the door from the Eagles to the Lions, he was talking some crap about the Eagles and Eagles fans and all. So it's interesting to see him come back.
Yeah.
I thought he kind of burned that bridge, but apparently that bridge got rebuilt with $100 bills.
And tail between his legs.
Yeah. Because, well, I mean, let's say tail between his legs. The Lions had a damn good season with him, obviously.
Yeah, but you don't sit there and trash your former team and then the next year come there without putting your head down like, all right, well, I guess guess I said the wrong things.
Yeah, well, I mean,
yeah. So I mean, absolutely had a great season with the Lions. Like, really helped shape that Lions defense. But
yeah, I mean that's where he is. Where he, where he is there at that point. So we'll see what happens there. As long as there's no hurt feelings from that kind of stuff he said when he left. He's a good player. He's a good center field kind of safety. Had a lot of interceptions within 1 year, but we'll see what happens there. Also bring in linebacker Zach Bond from the Saints at a 1-year deal, 71.1 PFF grade last year, 27 years old. Julian Okwara, who was obviously Romeo Okwara's brother, played with us for some time there. From the Lions, 1-year deal, 60.2 PFF grade, 26 years old. Wide receiver Devontae Parker from the Patriots, 61.2 PFF grade, 31 years old. I put 21 back, so my notes have said that. I'm like, hold on, he's not 21. 31 years old.
Wait a minute.
Offensive lineman Matt Hennessy. No comment if he has a microbrewery in his home or not. From the Falcons. Be awesome. Hennessy's Hennessy. I would go with it. 26 years old. Did not play last year at all because of knee surgery. He's a center, but he started only one of his 3 years, which ironically enough is middle year. As a rookie, sat at the bench mostly, started year 2, and then year 3 got put back in the bench, and then year 4 got put on the medical alert. So I don't know if he's the replacement for a guy who retired. We'll talk about it in a minute. But if so, that's the definite downgrade, that's for sure. Today here, just a couple hours ago, they signed Devin White from the Bucks there. Remember, he was one of the heroes of the Super Bowl year for the Bucks there. I can tell you this, as somebody who lives in the Tampa Bay area, Bucks fans hate Devin White right now. And not because he left. They hated him way before that. He was talking mad trash last year, talking about he wanted a $20 million a year kind of contract. He was talking about how he thinks he's one of the best linebacker of all football. He just hasn't been that good, guys. He had a 40.6 PFF grade last year.
Woof.
40.6. But again, he's a former All-Pro. You can see where somebody would take the shot on him at that point there. It's a 1-year deal. And the only word I've seen from Adam Schefter is up to $7.5 million this 1-year deal. So, yeah, if you can get a guy like that for $7.5 million, take a chance and potentially start him. And if you have to sit him on the bench, it doesn't kill your salary gap. It's not a bad win. I'll say that. That's not a bad move. I hate to give them credit, but it's not a bad move. They extended Landon Dickerson to the largest per annual value deal ever for a guard, 4 years, $84 million. That doesn't take a genius to do the math. That is $21 million a year. Re-signed Brandon Graham to a 1-year deal. Re-signed long snapper Rick Lovato. No new news if he's related to Demi Lovato. 1 year. Punter Brandon Mann, 2 years. Kicker Jake Elliott, 4 years, $24 million. And let's see if I can pronounce this one correctly. Albert Okweg Bonham. I'm going to probably mispronounce that one. I apologize.
Albert Cowabunga, 1-year deal, tight end.
Not Cowabunga. Wow. Well, I'm not trying to be that guy. He has a name. Just don't know how to pronounce it. He's an Eagle, so I don't feel the need to learn. But I'm not going to.
Okubanyum.
Yeah. I have no clue. Maybe we can look it up on Google pronunciation. It's funny that the first that comes up when you look him up, Okuwe Bunum. There we go. Okuwe Bunum. That's what it says. It says when you look at it on Google, it says Okuwe Bunum. So, anyway, retired Jason Kelsey, longtime center, brother obviously of Travis Kelsey.
You think he comes back?
Potential future brother-in-law of Taylor Swift. And then also retired defensive tackle Fletcher Cox. I'm going to put in a weird category for them. May trade. Because they've been taking a lot of calls on 2 guys at the edge position. And that's Josh Sweat and Hassan Reddick. So one or both those guys may very well be gone from this roster. We'll see what happens there. But they've been looking to move them both. So I don't know if they're looking to move them both because they don't care which one they move, or if they legit want both of them off the roster. But we'll see. And that's it's an interesting offseason for these guys. I think as a whole, I can see some good and I can see some bad. For a team that started off so well and ended up so horrible, I don't even know what to think of the Eagles for next year, to be honest with you.
It's very hard to think about, especially with some of these losses. Like Travis Kelce really holds that off. Yeah, Jason. Sorry, wrong Kelce, brother. Jason really holds that line together.
Yes,
he does, and he is a guy that really actually helps elevate Hurts because he's the one that calls the audibles 80% of the time.
Yep.
He's at the line, he reads the defense, and he goes, "This is going on, this is going on, this is going on. Move over here, do that." And he'll tell Jalen Hurts. There's video of him just telling Jalen Hurts right off the bat, like, "No, don't call that play."
Yeah.
So,
I think that's a bigger loss for them than some of the people out there realize. And that may be a reason for their offense to go down this year, besides the fact that, Jalen Hurts is still their quarterback, and I still think he's overrated.
Yeah, I mean, there's also all those memes out there that Jason comes back just because now they got Saquon.
No, he's not coming back. He's done.
That's what they said, the year prior, but
you don't have that kind of a goodbye like he had, and they come back. He's done. And if they lose a guy like Hassan Reddick, let's just say he lose him hypothetically. What does Bryce Huff replace him? Bryce Huff has one good year. To think that this guy's going to go continue that for the rest of his career is just asinine. I'm sorry. Yeah. There's plenty of people that have one good year, and that's it. And they're done. And I don't mean done like they don't play again, but I mean they go back to the 5 sacks a year kind of thing at that point. That's what Bryce Huff did for most of his career. He's a pass rush specialist, kind of like the way like Matthias Kiwanuka was for us. I'm not trying to say he's a bad player, but he's not a star.
Yeah.
And now they're paying this man like he's a star. So now you go into it going, what do I do? This guy gonna have to play like crazy right now. I mean, it's where he's at. I mean, the guy more than doubled his prior QB hits. He's got, never had more than 3.5 sacks in the season. All of a sudden had 10. Like I said, I'm not sold in this not being a potential career year for this guy.
Yeah.
And I think it's a mistake to pay a guy off of 1 year. But again, I'll gladly take their mistake and love that they made that mistake because they've made a lot of mistakes with a lot of big money. And it's all going to come down to fruition, kind of like it is right now for the Cowboys, money-wise. Like, you can't keep paying guys, kicking the can down the road, and not eventually have to pay the piper.
Yeah, I mean, we just talked about Dallas. Look what happened with Dak. Like, they're stuck between a hard place and a rock.
They got a third of their salary on one guy. Ooh. And the guy's not even that good. He's good, but not great. That's where he's at. But again, I can see some of the good stuff. I can see some of the good stuff with. You can sit there and say, okay, Saquon goes back to having a great year because he's if he stays healthy and got a better line he's ever had with the Giants. You can sit there and say, okay, they picked up, they picked up some pieces and they're pretty good about, drafting people to eventually replace the older guys they have, which they have been. Let's give credit where credit is due. They do that very well. You can sit there and see that.
They're one of the better. They're one of the better teams out there that drafts the replacements before they actually need the replacement. So you can't take that away.
But you could also sit there and say, here's some big names lost here. You lose your best offensive lineman, if not second best, depending on where you want to rank him and Lane Johnson. But one of your three premier offensive linemen, let's put it that way, with Landon Dickerson and those two. You lose Fletcher Cox, who's been on the team forever. Was a
And
solid,
one of the best names in sports.
Yes, was a solid player for many, many years. You're going to lose one of your premier pass rushers. You're coming off a season that you basically fell apart. And like I said, I don't know what to think on them. I really don't. I think that, again, it comes back to I look at how they're winning, and it was all a house of cards. It was so close, all these wins they had. You can only luck out for so long. I think that they're going to be probably taking a step back this year. And I don't know how big a step, but I think they're going to take a step back this year. And I could see them being like a 10-11 win team still.
I can see them being 9.
Yeah, it's possible. But I don't think they're going to be as good as they have been the year and a half that they were really good.
Thus far, what we've seen in free agency, I think one team will have 10 wins in this division. I don't think it's going to be like it was last year.
It depends. Like I said, a lot of things could happen still, and until they get on the field, you never know. But like I said, to me, the Cowboys have taken a pretty decent step back. The Eagles have taken a potential step back, and I mean like literally like with the signings they've made, depending how they work out, it could be that they haven't stepped back at all. It's a potential step back.
I mean, you're not wrong, and I mean they had 11 wins last year, right?
I have to look 12. It up to be honest with you off the top of my head. I think it's 12.
You're probably right. It's probably 12. I think they went 11-1 and 1-7, or that doesn't make sense. 1-6.
It was 11 wins.
Yeah, so I was right at first. So they had 11 wins. Did they take 2 games back? Which is not a terrible setback. Losing 2 games, especially with 11 wins.
Yeah, Dallas, I mean 19 wins.
Did it take 3 games back? Still have 9 wins off of 12.
Do they take 2 steps forwards and you take 3 steps back? We get together.
No, we're supposed to take 3 steps
back. Oh yes, I went there. I went there. I went Paul Abdul on you. You didn't expect that.
Oh no, I totally expected it.
Yes. With that cartoon cat smoking that cigarette in that white beater.
The 80s, early 90s.
I want to say it's late 80s. That was probably late 80s.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's get into the Washington Commanders. Before we do that, though, guys, we're gonna pay the bills real quick. We're gonna go over some. The comments here because let's be frank and say this is the most active team, not just in the NFC East, but probably the entire league basically this offseason because of all the money they've had. So, let's go over all those moves once we're done here with these pay the bills and. Like I said, check it in and go through some of the comments here.
Enjoying the show? Looking for more goofball action? Consider a membership at buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs. Memberships start at just $5 and give you additional goofball access. One-time support payments also available starting at just $3. Buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs.
Oh, yeah. All right, let's get into it here. Connor says, how can you tell your auto mechanic had sex been away from the repair shop? One of his fingers is clean.
Why is that?
Why just one finger?
Yeah.
I'm confused.
Obviously, stuff that has been working right for you and your wife.
Seriously, that's all it takes. I mean, Joey P. Wood, what do you guys think of Eagles getting White? He's had a lot of ups and down seasons. Yeah. Like I said, it's not a bad signing on their part. I think it's a good move for them because they didn't sign him to a ton of money. It's a 1-year deal, but it's enough money that you're still risking something. I mean, 7.5 is not nothing. It's not like they gave him $2 million, but this is a guy that if he had been a free agent a couple of years ago, he probably would have made a lot more.
Yeah. I think it's a good gamble from where he's at.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's a worthy gamble. It's definitely a move that could pan out very well for them because he's definitely been disgruntled as a Buck the last couple of years. And obviously did very well for a little bit as well. So, we'll see what happens there. To me, I think he's just done. I think he's just flipped a switch to him and he kind of lost that ability. Made him special there, but maybe it's him getting his own head and maybe they can get it into his head again and say stop being a moron. So let's see. On Twitch, we have a nice little spammer here. Says, hey, sorry for bothering you. I want to offer
Oh.
promotion of your channel, viewers, followers, views, chatbots, etc. The price is lower than any competitor. The quality is guaranteed to be best, flexible and convenient. Order management panel,
Ooh.
chat panel, everything is in your hands. A huge number of custom settings. Like, ooh, we gotta have to contact those guys, aren't we?
Yeah.
Or we could just not and say we did.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably the better idea. Womp womp womp. There's just lots of speculation on Dak not having his contract extended. Yeah, like I said, I think that's the stopping move of why they can't make moves, but it's also makes you question: are they going to look to potentially throw this back one more year and blow it all up if they don't move forward?
I mean, they've been saying that for how long now?
But eventually, you got to do it. Eventually, you got to say, you know what? We're doing great in the regular season. We're doing crap in the postseason, and we're done. We can't continue doing this. Like eventually, that's got to be something you say where, you know what, kudos to us in winning regular season.
Yeah,
but if you're not winning the postseason, you're not winning anything.
Yeah, great that we're 36-15 in the past 3 years, but
yeah,
we've also not won a single playoff game.
Well, they won one playoff game, didn't they, last year? Not last year, the year before. I mean, 22. They won one.
Maybe.
Yeah. They won one and they went and got crushed by the Niners. But it's like there's a clear issue with them in the playoffs, and eventually you got to sit there and say, we got to change this. Unless they're just happy with that. I mean, who knows? Maybe the Cowboys are happy with that. Like, yeah, we're winning the regular season. People are buying our jerseys and tickets and all. But I mean, if you listen to Jerry, it's all about championships, and they haven't won a championship again since '96. So you're talking it's going to be 30 years here soon. It's time
it's going to be a great anniversary.
I can't wait for that anniversary. We'll celebrate with cake.
We'd be like the 76 Miami Dolphins.
Debs, I think Saquon was ticked because they tagged him last year. He can be ticked all he wants. I mean, honestly, he can be ticked all he wants. The Giants owed him nothing whatsoever as far as concerned. They paid him a ton of money over
pay that anywhere else.
Yeah. They offered him a big contract. He turned it down. You know, it's just, again, did they make the decision this year they just didn't want him at the end of this? Yes. But prior to that, they gave him all the options. They gave him all the money options. He just didn't want it. You know, I think it's just something about this marriage was over. Both sides were saying, it's not you, it's me. And I think it's just done.
I swear, it's not me, it's all you.
Exactly. Katie Carr says, did you hear the rumor that Jason Kelce is going to the Chiefs with his brother? I actually have heard that rumor. I don't think that's going to happen, though. I think that Jason understands that if he leaves and goes anywhere else, he kind of ruins his own legacy in Philadelphia. Right now, the man can retire, never buy a beer again at a bar in Philly.
Listen, he's got a great following in Philadelphia. He's got everyone in Philadelphia, every Philadelphia fan loves him. He's a well-respected center in this league.
Yep.
And he's charismatic and has one of the top podcasts in the United States with his brother.
Yes, and I'll say this as well. He's one of the very few Eagles that even Giants fans like and respect.
Yeah. He has every opportunity to go work for Fox Sports, CBS, or any one of those guys and get paid a buttload of money and not beat up his body anymore.
And what's weird to me is the difference in these two brothers. Because I mean, if you look at Travis Kelce, and this, again, there's a lot of conjecture in this. I'm going to say that point blank. There's a lot of conjecture on it, but everything he does, acts, body language, all this, he comes off as a selfish jerk a lot of times. It is what it is. He's very self-centered, in my opinion. He's very much about him, getting him in the spotlight. Whereas Jason Kelce, very down to earth, very appreciative of the people around him. I mean, there's stories that come out all the time about stuff that he does, like when he right at the end of the season where he went to the drive-thru at McDonald's and just happened to have a jersey in his car signed, and he gave it to the woman at the drive-thru that used to help him get his breakfast every day and stuff like that. Like, there's stuff that man does that just comes out all the time. You know, listen to the stories of what he gives about how he met his wife and everything there. I mean, he's a very down to earth guy, and I think people just respect that. But I
Very
think he
humble about it,
understands
too,
the legacy, and
for the most part.
I think he appreciates the legacy he has in Philadelphia. And I think while it's different than like Saquon going to the Eagles, for example, like it's not him going to the arch rival, it's him going to try to win a ring with his brother if he does that. But I just don't think they want that. And the other part about that as well is
It's also Chiefs don't pay that much money.
it's not even the Chiefs don't pay that much money. The Chiefs already have a really good center. So it's like if he went there, he'd be playing guard. They got Creed Humphrey, who is one of the best centers in the league. They got, want to even talk guard wise, they got Trey Smith and Joe Thuney, who are both very good guards as well. Like, where would he even play? Is he going to sit on the bench just to win our second ring?
Yeah.
Is he going to move up the tackle? I mean, like I said, I've heard the same rumors. I just don't think there's any
I think the rumors is because it's just rumors.
Connor says definitely wants Super Bowls, yet it must be nice to consistently win compared to us sucking for years now. And yeah, that's definitely the truth with the Cowboys. I mean, I think we would trade the last 10 years or so with them in a heartbeat.
I mean, also, why do you want to go to the playoffs every year knowing you're going to lose first round just to give your hopes up? I say the same token. At least you know where you're at by week 6. Week 8, halfway through the season.
And yes, I did just get handed a tasty drink as we're recording.
I was going to say, what are you drinking there?
It is supposed to be a homemade shamrock shake.
Oh.
Let's see.
Drew, don't die.
This is damn good.
Is your wife standing right by there? Is your wife standing by you?
She's not. She's not right there.
Okay.
She's the one who handed me the drink, obviously. But yeah, this is damn good. So those who like shamrock shakes, they'll be coming soon to dishingdelish.com. Shameless plug, my wife's website. Yeah, that's very
great
good.
site. Check it out, guys.
I wonder what it'd be like a little rum mixed in too.
Ooh.
Oh yeah.
Jackie.
Jay says, hell yeah. I'm not sure what the hell yeah is about, but hell yeah.
Hell
America.
Yeah.
Connor said, I know he's glad for his brother, but you can tell he hated not getting to the Super Bowl, and the team sucked to the end, so he was like, I'm done. Then you signed Saquon, WTF. No, I think, honestly, he knew it was his last year, and that really annoyed him, that's how they went out. I really think that's what it's all about.
I think so. I mean, he talked about retirement after the Super Bowl last year, the year prior, where he said he was done, and then he came back because he was like, all right, maybe we could do it again. He talked about retiring a couple years prior to that. That's why I said, do you think he comes back with Barkley? But
no.
At the end of the day, I think he's done. I think he's gonna, like I said, take off the jersey, sign an autograph, throw it to a fan, and call it a day. He doesn't want his jersey burnt all over social media.
No, he's done. Like I said, he's just done. And I can tell you guys too as well. I was at his last game. His last game was not against the Bucs. It was the Pro Bowl. He played in the Pro Bowl, and both quotes he played, because of his flag football, so the lineman did other things instead. But he did snap the ball a couple times. But it's like you could hear it in his voice when he was talking to everybody. Like it's done. He's done, and it's not because he can't do it anymore. From a physical standpoint, he can't do it from a mental standpoint. It sounds like to me. It sounds like just the wear and tear of the season, the injuries. Just keep in mind, guys, the injuries we hear about, we only hear about a third of the injuries these guys actually have. That's just life in the NFL. That's just life in the NFL. You're always hurt. Something's always hurting. So,
if you're not hurt, you're not doing it right.
But again, you got to wonder how much that's going to affect this team. You really just do. Connor says, I just hope we start beating the Eagles again, especially since Saquon there now. You know what I'm kind of hoping? And feel free to put in the comments if I'm just being a prick. It's okay. You can say it.
You're definitely just a prick.
But I would love to see Kayvon Thibodeau snow angeling next to Saquon Barkley. I'm just saying.
There's two things that are going to happen. He's either going to run.
I'm just saying, like, am I wrong? Am I wrong? Like,
no, you're not wrong.
Am I a jerk? It's like a Reddit thing. Am I the asshole?
Jerk. Barkley's either going to run for 300 yards against us or 30. It's going to be like one of those things.
Cost me out being a prick. I told you. Like, I'm just saying, like, I would love it. All of a sudden, he's going fight for the corner, and all of a sudden, Kayvon comes full steam ahead of him, and all of a sudden, he's doing the Snow Angels next to him and stuff like that. I'm just saying. Like I said, I'm gonna have a little hate towards this guy for a little while. I'm just gonna be there.
Saquon Barkley's first game is going to be in MetLife. He's going to tear his ACL again on the turf.
Katie says Jalen and Saquon are going to destroy. Are they destroy each other, or I'm hoping that'd be kind of cool. I think a fight in the sidelines.
Well, I think Saquon's going to get half as many touchdowns just because they're going to utilize Jalen Hurts with the tush push more than Barkley in the red zone.
Like I said, I harbor hate because he went there as Connor. Yes, I know. Connor's like you can give Connor the chance to go ahead and chance to just curse. Like, if you'd like to curse, please hit curse word. Connor like me.
Yeah. Connor, what is the name of a male rooster?
I got this.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into the Commanders here before Connor starts cursing more. So the Washington Commanders, like I said, they had so much cap space. It's like they had like close to $100 million in cap space. It's ridiculous. Like half their cap space was just wide open. Keep in mind they got rid of guys that were available for big money. Chase Young gone, Montez Sweat gone. So what they do, they just sign everybody known to man basically that the Cowboys had.
Pretty much.
I mean,
Dan Quinn went, "Hey guys,
you remember when he used to play for me and the Cowboys?"
Yeah, I was a good coach. Come on over here.
Yeah, so I mean, Dorrance Armstrong from the Cowboys, 3 years, $45 million, 70.1 PFF grade, 26 years old. Frank Luvi from the Panthers, linebacker, 3 years, $36 million, had an 80.0 PFF grade, 27 years old. Tyler Biadasz, the center from the Cowboys, 3 years, $30 million, 68.6 PFF grade, 26 years old. Austin Eckler from the Chargers, 2 years, $11.43 million, 60.2 PFF grade last year, guys, by the way. That's pretty down. I was kind of shocked by that.
Yeah.
28 years old. I wonder if he's kind of hitting that mark, because the Chargers, did not want to pay him. They did not want to pay that man.
No, that's been a fight over there for 2 years at this point. That they gave him an extension, kind of like what they did for Barkley last year.
Yeah, they gave him extra incentives, and that was it basically. But yeah, he's been a special player for the Chargers. He's been one of the better running backs. As far as especially receiving, rushing kind of combos at that point there. But it makes you wonder. I mean, he had only 3.5 yards average yards per carry average there with the Chargers last year. So he went down to 628 yards overall, which is his worst since 2020. He had just 436 yards receiving, also his worst since 2020. And I should say, 2020 he missed 6 games, so he didn't have the full. He only played 2/3 of the season, basically.
Yeah, and you also have to wonder though. He might be, running out of the gas, getting too much tread on the tires, if you will, or losing too much tread on the tires. But also, the Chargers' offensive line was banged up for about half the year last year. So
it was.
Was it because of that? Maybe. Chargers also found ways to lose games, and with terrible coaching. So was it part of that?
Prior to this year. He was 3 out of the 4 years. He was over 1,500 yards from scrimmage, and the only year that was that 2020 when he missed 6 games, and he actually had 933 yards. He was probably close to that kind of ballpark there. And again, when he said he played 10 games, for all I know, the 10th game he missed. He got hurt in the first quarter. For all I know, really played 9. I don't know. I don't pretend to be an Austin Eckler aficionado like that. But like I said, it's an interesting pickup because you're not paying him a lot of money. But it's one of the bigger names, obviously, that they got here, is Austin Eckler. And if he works out, he's a nice offensive weapon, obviously, to have. They also got backup quarterback from the Eagles, Marcus Mariota, 1 year, $6 million. I think it's safe to say he's going to be the mentor to whoever they draft at number 2 overall, whether it be, who knows? It could be Drake May, could be Jaden Daniels. Right. I'm really hoping they take Drake May. I really am hoping they take Drake May. I want Jaden Daniels to be a Giant. And that only happens if the Patriots are stupid, or we can trade down with the Patriots, something like that, which still makes them pretty stupid. But we'll see what happens. Zach Ertz, they also got, the longtime Eagle, former Cardinal last year. I think he played one game with the Lions. I think 2 in the postseason. I forget who he signed.
Yeah, I think you're right. So yeah, it was right
1 year,
right there.
Yeah, 1 year, $5 million. Only a 50.8 PFF grade. Remember that he is a guy who we had gone ahead and pretty much written off entirely when he was in Arizona because he lost his starting job and everything there. But he's still a good veteran guy. If he ends up being your number 2 tight end, that's a nice number 2 tight end to have,
Yeah.
Nick Allegretti from the Chiefs. Remember, we talked about him during the Super Bowl run at that point. He ended up, starting for the Chiefs for a few games, including the Super Bowl there. 3 years, $16 million, 68.7 PFF grade, 27 years old. Honestly, he's somebody that I thought the Giants would take a look at as well. I think it's a pretty good pickup there. I actually would have preferred him to Jon Runyan, and he's a cheaper deal. Defensive end, Clinton Farrell. Remember, he was the guy who the Raiders drafted really, really high that shouldn't have never been drafted very high. And typical Raider. Played with the Niners last year, a 1 year, $3.75 million deal, 60.7 PFF grade, 27 years old. Safety Jeremy Chin from the Panthers, 1 year, $4.105 million, 57.7 PFF grade, 26 years old. Kicker Brandon McManus from the Jags. Remember him as being the longtime Bronco there, 1 year, $3.6 million deal, 32 years old. Long snapper Tyler Ott from the Ravens, longtime Seahawk, Dan Quinn, new head coach. I'm just saying, remember he was defensive coordinator there. Yeah, 3 years, 3-year deal. He's 32 years old. Bobby Wagner. Listen, that's an underrated signing, guys. This guy, I know he's
really is. He's older now, but
yeah, 33 years old, 82.4 PFF grade, guys, and they got him for 1 year, and an $8 million max is the number I keep seeing. I think it was like 6.5 was the guarantee, but $8 million max, and that's it. Like, if that's not a favor to his former defensive coordinator when they were together in Seattle, I don't know what is, because oh my God, the guy literally led the league last year with 183 combined tackles, guys. Was a second team All AP, was a Pro Bowler, 3.5 sacks, 3 passes deflected there. I mean, this is a legit player, guys. This is a legit player. 183. Dude, that's I'm looking it up, his numbers right now. That's actually his career high. That's his career high. He's got 1,706. You know what this kind of reminds me of? It almost reminds me of, remember when the Commanders, obviously they had a different name back then, randomly signed like London Fletcher, and he played there for like a few years when a lot of people kind of thought he was done at that point, and he ended up playing for a while with them. But yeah, that's this kind of reminds me of that kind of move. You get a veteran to come in there, control the defense at that point. And by the way, I'm looking at solo tackles. He is number 16 all time. Now, at the end of this year, let's say he gets, I don't know, let's say he gets 70 tackles, okay? It's a fair number, I think. Would you say? He'll be number
give or take.
he'll be number 9 and past Brian Urlacher. Now keep in mind that's a total they only give since 1994. So I will say that. But yeah, London Fletcher was 32 years old when they signed him back in 2007. And he played until he was 38 in 2013. I'm not suggesting he has that kind of longevity, because that's a long damn career. But that's what it kind of reminds me of. They got an older linebacker to come in here, shore up the defense, get everybody in position, get everything rolling at that point. He knows the defense. He's played with Dan Quinn before. It's a solid move. That's probably one of the most underrated moves, I think, this offseason. You know, and even if it just lasts for a couple of years and at 34, 35, whenever he walks away, you still helped your defense get set up and get everything rolling and get your system in there pretty quick. That's a pretty good move. That's a pretty good move overall. Dante Fowler Jr., defensive end from the Cowboys, 64.4 PFF grade, 29 years old. So, again, you look at what they got here. They stole a lot from the Cowboys. Dan Quinn was just had no problem taking everybody he possibly could from the Cowboys. We're talking about the Cowboys missing a lot of players, and yeah, that's why they're missing players, guys. They're missing players because they all went to the Commanders.
Yeah. Pretty much Dan Quinn said, hey, Cowboys, I'm going to show you guys the Eagles and as we go to the Commanders. And said,
yeah, I mean,
deuces.
It's like they also took, again, the backup quarterback from the Eagles. Well, the Eagles don't have a backup quarterback here right now, except the guy they drafted last year hasn't ever seen the field. You know, when you got a quarterback like Jalen Hurts that takes some damage because he does take hits he shouldn't take, stuff like that, it's kind of a scary proposition. So, you know, we'll have to see what happens there. As far as the guys they re-signed Jeremy Reeves to a 2-year deal, 27 years old. They also re-signed wide receiver / kick returner / should have been a Giant for the whole year last year, Jamison Crowder, with a 70.5 PFF grade, is 30 years old still. Today, this is kind of a semi-breaking news. They traded Sam Howell to the Seahawks today, guys. Remember, the Seahawks lost their backup quarterback, Drew Lock, to us at the Giants. So now their backup is Sam Howell, which I got to say, dude, that's a good move for the Seahawks. I'm 100%. Sorry, but I'm still not anti-Sam Howell as a quarterback. I'm anti-necessarily him as a franchise quarterback. But yeah, if we can go ahead and get a guy like Sam Howell to be a backup, that's not a bad move. I would have made this kind of deal in a heartbeat with them if I was the Seahawks. So they give up a 3rd and a 5th round pick to get Sam Howell. And not only they get Sam Howell, but they get a 4th and a 6th round. So they basically just went down 1 round in 2 different picks.
Yeah.
And they got a quarterback who's still on a rookie deal for 2 more years.
Who's going to sit behind Geno Smith probably 1 more year, and then they may test the luck from there and take the shot. You know,
I'm going to call it right now. He will start this year.
Start a game or start the season?
He won't start the season, but he will.
Okay.
He will. Yeah. He will at one point become a starting quarterback. I actually think that you put him in the right position with the right offensive line. The Seahawks have a good young offensive line.
They do. They were banged up last year, but they should be.
Yeah. They have good receivers. They have a good running game. You put him in that offense, I'm telling you, like, I think honestly the Commanders were starting to ruin him. He had a great hot start to the season, and just all of a sudden taking so many hits just started looking worse and worse as the season went on. I think if you can get him somewhere in there that calms him down, teaches him to avoid getting hit, and I think he could be a damn good quarterback still. And I'm not going to say like damn good where he's like a Super Bowl guy or a playoff, but he could be an average starting quarterback in this league.
Yeah, well, I actually think that being, there's a difference between going 5 years out as a Commander and having a 10-year career, 12-year career in the NFL.
Yeah,
starting as an average quarterback, making way, doing your rounds as backup.
Oh yeah,
maybe doing the Geno Smith story.
Hey, listen, I mean, if anybody's going to fix a quarterback, the Seahawks have done it before, like you said with Geno. So, Yeah, I mean, it's a whole new coaching staff. We'll see what happens. It's more of a defensive-minded coaching staff, but like I said, I think that's a very low risk, very potential high reward kind of move there. From the
100%.
Seahawks standpoint, I mean, I get the Commanders. They had to get rid of Sam Howell. They didn't. They're going to start all brand new. You know, they go in now. They have Marcus Mariota. They have, whoever they draft, and they just go for it. And you got Mariota. If you have to start him because you don't want to start your rookie too early, you got that option. So, but yeah. Now, as far as other guys they've lost here, they made a couple of guys. They released a couple of guys who haven't re-signed yet. So we'll see what happens with those guys overall if they come back at a smaller deal, or whatever the case may be. Tight end, long time DC player there, Logan Thomas. Had a 57.1 PFF grade last year, 32 years old. Obviously, his issue's always been just staying healthy. He's a receiving tight end, just never can stay healthy. Our old friend, Nick Gates, got cut as well. 66.1 PFF grade, 28 years old. And part of me still wants him to be a Giant. But I wonder if part of me is just doing that for nostalgia purposes. Like, he's a nice guy. He's a great guy. You can't help but root for the guy. So, I don't know. I'm very mixed on that, but I think part of why I also like him is the fact that the guy just you tell him where to go, he plays it. Guard, tackle, center, he don't care. He just goes and plays it.
Lunch pail, Swiss Army knife kind of dude, like, and tough as nails.
And again, the nicest guy you'll ever meet. By all accounts, everybody's ever met this guy. The nicest man pretty much you'll ever meet,
unless you're playing against him. Yes,
then he's a jerk on purpose. He's that guy.
Yeah,
he's that guy that will bait you into a taunting or a penalty of some kind. Also, they cut the left tackle, Charles Leno, 72.5 PFF grade, 32 years old. So far, free agency, they just lost Curtis Samuel today, actually. So they lost one of their better offensive weapons overall. He signed a 3-year, $24 million deal with the Bills. They lost one of their better defensive players. We talked about him. Kendall Fuller, they talked about him as a guy that I wouldn't mind the Giants getting. Signed a 2-year deal with the Miami Dolphins. And then they also lost their former backup quarterback, Jacoby Brissett, who signed with the Patriots as well. So, yeah, I mean, definitely some changes there overall, especially on the line. But let's be honest, their line was crap last year. So you can't blame them for wanting to change up the whole offensive line. Look what we want to do, but we have a lot of these guys on, rookie deals, bigger deals. We're like, we want to save the 500,000 by cutting this guy. I mean, that's where we're at, kind of like that. With we're bringing more bodies and replace what we can and improve where we can. They're making the move. They're just binge and purging over here and just calling it a day. But yeah, ton of moves for these guys. And they're trying to fix obviously the offensive line. Biotish is a decent center. Now, he's not a world beater, but he's a decent center. Still pissed the Giants didn't get him when they had the chance. Remember the draft? I was flipping at the TV. Draft him. We need a center. Draft him. He's still there. He's from, I want to say Wisconsin, which is one of the schools you expect to have good offensive linemen too. Like, there's certain schools that are just really good offensive linemen. They signed Allegretti, who again looked pretty good for the Chiefs there in the playoff run there. I don't know what's going to happen on the tackle position unless they plan on drafting somebody. I mean, that's the one that's a little precarious now. That they're losing their left tackle. They signed a whole bunch of guys that to defense that know the system with Dan Quinn because they played with him obviously in the Cowboys. It's going to be interesting. I think the Commanders will be better next year. And I think that the big thing is going to be the big difference maker is who do they get a quarterback and how good is he? Because I think if he is your average, rookie quarterback and he plays, probably not that much of a difference you'll see from the Commanders overall because their defense will be really good probably and their offense will struggle. But if he all of a sudden is a lightning in a bottle, like a CJ Stroud kind of rookie at that point, or even a Baker Mayfield kind of rookie a couple of years ago, that kind of guy, you can see the Commanders make a run. I mean, their defense has never been the problem. Let's be very frank on that. Their defense has never been the problem. Their offense has been the problem for years. and they really haven't had a good quarterback since Kirk Cousins left. And even Kirk Cousins was kind of like suspect with them, except for that one game. How you like that?
I was going to say he
showed a little emotion for the first time in his life. Then put his khaki polo back on.
Well, speaking about Kirk Cousins, who do you think? Do you think? How do you think about who did the best in this so far in free agency? You think it's the Commanders, or do you think maybe the Falcons are the most improved team?
I think the Falcons are automatically the most improved because they got the best quarterback available, and they had a bad quarterback. In fact, they traded Desmond Ridder today to the Arizona Cardinals, if I remember correctly. You and I were talking about that before the show. But yeah, I mean, definitely, if you're going to look at it, I'm going to tell you it's going to be the Falcons just because they improved the most important position in all of football. But I will say this:
utilize their offensive weapons.
They still have Kirk Cousins. I mean, I hate to say it that way, but Kirk Cousins has not been a good playoff quarterback. He's not been a guy who's excelled in the postseason, but at least they'll maybe get to the postseason now.
I was about to say they might be the team to beat, even though the Bucs
in the NFC South.
Yes, 100%. Want to be clear.
Yeah.
NFC South. I'm talking about not actually.
Yeah,
and then a whole NFC.
At the NFL as a whole, just the NFC South. But yeah. But for now, if we're going to go as far as the NFC East as a whole, I'm going to say it's the Commanders just because they've changed up a lot of their roster really quickly, and they brought in a lot of guys, especially on the defensive side, that are used to Dan Quinn's system and know his defense, which is key.
That's it. They'll learn fast.
Yeah, that's the learning curve is not going to be as nearly as bad because if you didn't play for Dan Quinn at some point, chances are you look to your left or your right and somebody who is there. So, they made that a priority this year, obviously. So, we'll see what they do overall on offense. That's going to be the big key there. But I think they really, would be the difference there. All right, let's get to some of the comments here. And then we're going to call it a night here. Let's see. Deb says, if Waller retires, the Giants have to pay him anything. They just have to pay him the remainder of his
guaranteed.
His
I think it's like
guaranteed.
6.5.
I'm trying to look it up right now, but I believe it's like 6.7. We've gone over it enough times. I should remember that off the top of my head, but I want to say it's 6.7. Like I said, it's basically the same as if we cut him. That's what it boils down to.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. Still no news on that yet, so we'll see what happens there. Connor says, thought you want a Penix Jr. Yes, I want Penix Jr., but if the Giants are going to move up for a quarterback, that's who I want is Jaden Daniels. And if Jaden Daniels falls to us at 6, I would take him in a freaking heartbeat. I think he's the best quarterback in this draft. My own personal opinion.
But he's probably not going to come to us.
He's probably not going to come to us at 6. No. So if we're going to get him, we have to trade up to get him in. If the Giants and Joe Shane are that confident in him and they have a chance to move up, I have no problem with them moving up. Move up and get him if he's your guy. Again, be confident.
That's your dude. That's your gamble. Yeah.
Exactly. Take your gamble. Let's see. Connor says we got Jack still from the Eagles tight end. So yeah, we talked about that at the beginning, Connor. Sheesh. You're as late as Rob.
Right? God. Later, because you missed the conversation.
And he goes, "You like that?" Yeah. And he says, "Wow, got rid of QB already. Thought they'd let Cousins teach him." No, because Cousins, they signed him to a 4-year deal. So what they'll probably do is they'll probably give it a couple of years. I want to say it's 4 years, $180 million he signed for. So they'll probably give him 2 years or so before they draft somebody to be his eventual backup, depending on how he does, obviously, year by year. He's 34, 35, his Cousins, I think.
Right. Yeah, he's supposed to be 35. Yeah, 35. He's up there. He's getting close. That's
35. Yeah, he'll be. Yeah. He will turn 36 before the season starts, guys. So, yeah, it wouldn't shock me at all if they eventually draft somebody to look to work under him. But when you sign him to a 4-year deal, you kind of hope that you have a year or two before you have to do that. But again, 36 years old. You just never know. I wouldn't be shocked at all if they got a guy like Spencer Rattler this year. Let him sit behind him for a couple of years. He's cheap. He'll probably be a 3rd or 4th round pick. You know, could do worse. Could do worse. Yeah. So we'll see what happens. And the biggest thing really with Kirk Cousins is, we should talk about this real quick, I guess, here before we go too, is that the Falcons, along with the Eagles, are actually being investigated by the NFL for tampering because Saquon's the coach of Saquon's alma mater, Penn State, what's his name? James Franklin. I almost said Kirk Franklin. He's not a gospel singer. He said that Saquon told him point blank that there was that the Eagles had pitched him directly. And then obviously Kirk Cousins had said some things as well that draw some eyebrows as well about the Falcons and their pitch. So yeah, it's going to be interesting because we all know what happens when this open time period happens. There's the illegal tampering. The teams have to talk to the agents so they can't talk to the players. We all know what's going on. The teams are calling up the agents. The agents are putting them on speakerphone. The player is there. I guarantee you that's how it happens every single time.
Usually.
So they're pitching the player without acknowledging the player in the room. Basically how it is. So Connor says, you think Saints keep Carr or get one of the draft? I think they keep him. At least
Probably
one more
both.
year. I don't think they can get one of the draft, honestly. I just don't think so. Connor says, how do you think Darnold does in Minnesota?
Dumpster fire.
Same as everywhere he goes. That's pretty much bad. He's just not a good quarterback. He's that guy. He's the new Sam Bradford, basically, at a lesser level. Where people keep thinking they can pick him up.
Perfect analogy.
Like,
I'm going to fix this quarterback.
Yeah, you can't fix him. He's not good. Now,
ain't rust any color. It's still rust.
Is he not a bad guy to have for a team like the Vikings that lost out on re-signing Kirk Cousins and need a quarterback? You sign him as insurance and you hope to get a rookie. That's where you're at. Think about it. There's 6 quarterbacks out there that people talk about as being potential starters, okay, in this draft. You got 1, 2, and 3, Bears, Commanders, Patriots right there. You figure those 3 are probably taking quarterbacks right off the bat. Okay. That leaves you with Giants, Vikings, and Raiders as the other 3 teams you would think would try to get a quarterback as well. That's the other 3 teams. But there's no solid way of saying I'm going to get this, and some team doesn't leapfrog me and go take one of these guys. There's no saying that you have all 6 of these guys listed as starting quarterbacks this league too as well. What's the name? Bo Nix had his pro day, and none of the coaches or GM showed up, just assistants. That doesn't bode very well for him.
No.
So yeah, we'll take a look and see what happens. Connor says Cousins took Bradford's title getting money. No, listen, Kirk Cousins is a legit quarterback in this league. He just doesn't show up in the postseason. That's what it boils down to. Look at the Giants when we beat him, in 22 there. That kind of cements what he is. He had to get to a certain downage, so the ball behind that yard line where the guy had no chance of getting to the yard line. That's what he does. He blows up in the worst possible scenarios. So, wish the best for the guy out in Atlanta. He seems like a nice guy from all accounts, but just he's not a good postseason quarterback, and that matters. So,
yeah.
All right. So we will see you guys again Monday. Unless anything big happens here over the weekend, maybe we pop on something happens here, but I don't see that happening. Honestly, I think most of the big moves for us are done at this point. So
most likely
next week we will go back to doing our draft coverage here, guys. So we're gonna start Monday with wide receivers, and then we'll go on down from there. So as usual, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we will be there. So we will see you guys then. If you have any questions or any players you guys really want to hear us talk about there, feel free to pop that in the comment sections there as well, so we know who to look for specifically there. Maybe adjust which groups we do in which order there for you guys to get you guys what you're looking for content wise. But again, we will see you guys again on Monday. Have a happy, safe weekend. As always, we are live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter /X, Twitch, Instagram, and of course, Rob's favorite. Oh yes, my LinkedIn profile, which didn't work
Drew's
today. So we're not on
page.
LinkedIn today because it wouldn't work today for some reason. And of course, as always, we are available the next day on all the audio podcast platforms: Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon, Google Podcasts, all the fun ones there. So do me a favor, hit the like, hit the subscribe if you haven't already. Tell a friend. That's how we help keep this thing going. It's word of mouth here. So we appreciate you guys as always. And as always, Giant fans, go G-Man! Go G-Man!
Thanks for listening to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. We appreciate your support.
Thanks so much.